Hello, glowworms. It's Terrestrial Taylor, and today we're checking out the Zionsville Antique Mall out in Zionsville, PA. This is one of my favorite stores to explore because it is jam packed with so many good vintage goodies, and I tend to get myself in a little bit of trouble when I'm out here. If you're new here, welcome to the Glowworm family. My name is Taylor, and I am a lover of all things antique, thrifty, and a little bit radioactive. So today, we're mostly on the hunt for radioactive uranium glass, but you never know what else we might find on the way. This place is a lot bigger on the inside than it looks, and you have to be careful about which path you take, or you might miss some of the really good booths. I have to admit, the vendors here really seem to know their stuff, and I've scored some incredible pieces here in the past. And I have a feeling that today might also be a glowing success. I honestly don't think I've ever left here empty handed, and I've definitely made sure to join their email list because they're always having different sales and seasonal events throughout the year. There are a lot of summer sales happening right now, and with the turnover of items being as good as it is, I'm really excited to see what we might find. So get your black lights and your Geiger counters ready, and let's get glowing. Now, at first glance, I do see some green glass here to the right. Let's check it with our black light and see if it glows. That definitely looks like a uranium glow to me, and they also have a vintage ink blotter here in jadeite. Sadly, this one is a no glow, and I hope I find one that does glow one day, but not today. To the left here, I see a little more green glass and a second chance at some glowy jadeite. I don't think I've ever seen one of these before, but check out that glow. It seems like it's in pretty good condition, and they're asking $149 on it. I'm actually pretty tempted to get that. And I'm sure you can already see why this store is bad for me. But let's think about that one and see what else we can find. This booth is pretty adorable with its checkered flooring, and I'm sure they've got some cute stuff hidden away. I'm not seeing anything that will glow, but that's all right. Let's see what we can find across the way. I already spy a vintage bird cage, and I actually just got rid of one like this at my antique booth. I used to have mine in my uranium glass room with some custard glass birds in it, but I decided that it was time to declutter, so I sold it down at the old engine works. Now check out this derpy little frog here. He reminds me of the one that I got down in Florida that was Vaseline glass. Mine is slightly different though, and I think it was made by Murano glass. And it's definitely become one of my favorite pieces in my collection. Now I do see a little green on this shelf, but nothing that looks like it's quite uranium glass. But how cute are these pig salt and pepper shakers? Ooh, and I see a few more piggies down here that might glow with some uranium glaze. Oh man, I might have to grab that one too. Let's see if there's any other glowies hiding. It doesn't look like there's any more on this shelf, but this teapot down below might glow. And yes, it has uranium glaze. This vendor has a lot of really cute stuff in their booth. And I actually recognize this insect pattern here on these pieces. I used to have a teapot with the same pattern and I really wanted to keep it, but I just didn't have the room, so I did sell that at the old engine works as well. Before we move on, I just want to check to see how much the piggies cost, and for $15, I think they're going to have to come home with me. Now, you'll never guess what I just found at the next booth. It is the same Murano glass frog I was just talking about, but it's in clear. So now I know for sure that my derpy frog is a Murano glass frog because mine does not have its sticker anymore. And ironically, he is right across from the green frog that we first checked out. Wow, these dishes are super pretty, and hello there, glowworms. I'd have to say we're having a successful trip so far, so let's keep hunting. This booth has a lot of cool primitive items in it, and we are so lucky to pretty much have the whole store to ourselves today. There's so much to look at, and each booth really has its very own vibe. Not only do I love shopping at antique stores, but I also love getting inspiration from other vendors for new ways that I can organize and decorate my own booth. And of course, you never know what nostalgic things you might see along the way. The booth across from this one has some really nice ambient lighting, and I also like the curtains that they added to their back wall. I also love it when vendors take advantage of their overhead space by adding things like ladders to hang their lights from. Ooh, and it looks like the next booth has some really neat mid century modern things. And I already spy some Viking Amberina glass pieces over here on this white shelf. Checking them out with a black light, it seems like they only have a little bit of cadmium and selenium in them. And they also have a nice selection of glass fruits. Those tend to sell pretty consistently for me down at the Engine Works, and I also like the paperweights. And really, who doesn't love some vintage animal figures? They are so stinking cute. Over to the left here, we have some pretty glass, and do you see what I see on the top shelf? We also have a really cute mushroom canister, but I think we should go check out that biscuit container to see if it glows. I think I might have the same one at home without a lid, and it looks like both pieces do glow. Again, this was another booth with a very nice selection. I love how everything goes together, and I feel like I'm shopping in someone's living room. Then, when you turn around, you get a totally different vibe with this booth. Here, I feel like I'm stepping way further back in time, and I absolutely love all of these wooden furniture pieces. I mean, look at the details on these drawers. They are so stunning. This old wooden showcase is also pretty awesome. Let's check it out and see what's inside. And it looks like we have some old glowy shooter marbles. And even though I still need quite a few to fill up my old gumball machine, I think I'm going to leave these behind for another collector. Over to the right here, I absolutely love these brass figures. They also have a bunch of cast iron, but I absolutely love these wooden drawer pieces. I really want an oak filing cabinet like this one day. I always wonder where people find all these cool old things and how they get so many of them in one place. Maybe one day I'll be that cool, but for now, even though I've been doing this for a couple of years, I still feel like a beginner at antique selling. Check out this awesome coffee table. It is so stinking cute and it almost looks like it's smiling at us. I also love the disco balls and the oil velvet painting. But before we move on, I think we need to take a moment to appreciate this big, beautiful dispenser. After checking out the tag, I now know that this is actually a vintage barbershop towel warmer, and they're asking almost $3,000 for it. I wonder if it's going to be here on our next trip or not. Looks like we have some more Pyrex and some vintage toys over here. I also see some Fiestaware pictures, but they're not quite the colors that I usually look for. I'm always on the hunt for the vintage radioactive red Fiestaware, and I also enjoy finding the vintage ivory because that can also be a bit radioactive. I'm not really seeing much else on this side of the booth that is standing out to me, so let's head on to the next vendor. So far, this booth has a neat vintage train light, this lovely Native American figure. They also have some Coke memorabilia, but overall, this booth actually isn't as jam packed as the rest. Their neighbor, on the other hand, definitely has a bunch of artwork on display, and it looks like they're taking full advantage of their wall space. Let's take a second to check out their shelves because I already see two big hens on nests. This little ruffled vase also looks like it could be some sort of custard glass, so let's check it out. And we don't even get a manganese glow from that one. I wonder if they have anything hiding for me in their showcases. I'm not seeing anything glowy here, and this showcase to the right has a bunch of jewelry in it. Maybe we'll have some luck and we'll find a glower. Uranium glass jewelry is one of my favorite things to find because I actually do wear my jewelry out and about sometimes. It doesn't look like we're going to have much luck here, but it's always worth checking out because sometimes some pieces will surprise you. Now we're in what I call the showcase land, and there's usually some pretty stuff locked inside of these. I'm going to have to try to behave myself over here, so let's take a look and see what they have. Over here, I already see a neat satin amberina creamer and sugar pear. I don't usually see amberina pieces in satin, so we'll definitely have to check to see if those have a cadmium glow or not. And yep, it looks like we have a little bit of cadmium in there, which is pretty cool. Looks like we've got a few more pretty lamps over here to the left, and they also have a bunch of Hummel figures. Down on the bottom, there's also a couple Yadro figures, so let's see if any of those have uranium glaze. It does look like a couple pieces have some uranium glaze for their grass that they're standing on. And this lady, she has some uranium glaze ducklings with her. This little boy has a uranium glaze coat or a robe. And there's a few more figures with some uranium glazed grass. I'm honestly not sure how many people collect Hummel figures anymore, but here's one more look at these cuties. So up ahead, I did find a nice little selection of uranium glass. I love these covered animal dishes, and it's really tempting to grab one, but I think I'm going to leave them behind. Though I really do like this turkey, it says it's $100, but it also says as is on it. It looks like the bottom of the lid does have a few nicks in it, but the base itself doesn't seem like it's in bad condition. I love that it's satin Vaseline too, and even though it's really cool, I'm still leaning towards getting that jadeite refrigerator tray. Even if I don't keep the tray, it looks like there might be a chance that I could make a little profit off of it. It looks like this vendor also has a bunch more covered animal dishes over here, and I wonder if any of these glow. I really like the malachite ones because I don't see those out terribly often, and it looks like we have a little bit of a cadmium and selenium glow in the iridescent hen on nests. This little chick back here also has a pretty decent glow, but I wonder if that's really a uranium glow or if that's from a lot of manganese. Sometimes when you're using a strong light like this 365 nanometer light, things with a lot of manganese can give off a pretty bright glow. So I always like to check those with a Geiger counter just in case. It doesn't look like anything else is giving off much of a glow, but I'm still curious to see if this glowy hen on Ness is truly uranium or not. She's marked at $70 and it doesn't say uranium glass on the label, and they're also calling this tangy green, which I like. So here I'm using my GMC 500 plus Geiger counter to check to see if she has uranium. Our counts per minute are typically between 18 and 25 here, so I'd have to say that this little chick is spicy. It's really so cool to see how many different colors of green uranium glass comes in. Then I just had to take a second to share this beautiful old compote with you guys. It has been here for a while and I think it's supposed to have a lid, but she's a gorgeous piece of EAPG. And if you've been here before, you might know that I'm a sucker for a beautiful lamp, and I think out of this booth, the one with the silhouette shade is probably my favorite. A little further down, I also found another booth with a bunch of depression glass, and it looks like we have some glowies on this back shelf. These seem to be some more common pieces, so I'll leave them behind for a newer collector. They also have a couple of uranium glaze pieces, and that's actually a pretty good example of how that jewel T pattern doesn't always glow. And then I just wanted to take a moment to appreciate the hard work that these vendors put into their booths. They even added some nice laminate flooring in this one to give it a homey vibe. And I honestly can tell that these vendors really care about their spaces. I get so much inspiration for my own booth while shopping here, and there's just so many different booths to shop in. No matter what you collect, you're bound to find some here. This booth over here has such a neat 70s vibe to it. Check out all of these vintage pins. I just took a couple of these down to my own booth actually, and they definitely have way more here than I do. But it looks like I'm within the right price range on these, and that's another thing that I like to do while I'm here. I like to check out the different prices of things that I see that I might have bought recently or took a chance on, and I've actually learned a lot just by taking a look at some of the different dealer tags. Now it looks like we might be coming up on another booth with some uranium glass offerings, but let's take a quick moment to appreciate some of the booths along the way. We've got a few more neat lamps, but I definitely want to get a closer look at that uranium glass. I honestly love all of it, but the Burmese basket might be my favorite. The Vaseline Daisy Button bowl and the tea room vase, though, are also really cool. I had the opportunity to buy a tea room vase for a lot cheaper than this, and I honestly should have done it because it's such a neat Art Deco pattern. It looks like this vendor has some more pretty glassware in the showcase along this wall, so let's go check it out. Starting off strong with a potentially glowy piece of glass. This was actually the glass for a curtain tie back, and I have one that matches it that's slightly bigger at home and it does glow. They also have a vintage ceramic lava Christmas tree and lots of pretty blue glass. And I think I'm definitely going to need to get a closer look at that satin vase in the showcase. I absolutely love the color and the details on this piece. I even love the ruffles up at the top. And who doesn't love a decanter with a cat head as the stopper? We're starting to make our way back to the checkout counter now, but there's still a couple nooks and crannies to check. This booth here is jam-packed with goodies, and I see a little bit more Fiesta wear, but again, not the colors we're looking for. And I also see some glass figures that might glow. And I also see some acro agate pieces up on the top shelf. Then down low, I couldn't believe I finally found one of these vintage dice lamps. I've been searching for one of these in uranium, and they do come in uranium, but unfortunately, this one's a no glow. Now, over in this booth, I just started flashing my black light around all crazy like, and I noticed something glowing off to the right. So let's go get a closer look and see what it is. And it looks like we have another acro agate flower pot, but this time in blue. I love when I find these old blue pieces and they glow. For this price, I think I might have to take this one home, but let's check out the glow one last time. And I also really like how this piece here has some black slag swirls in it. I think it just gives it a little bit of extra character. I do have two smaller acro agate flower pots in blue that do glow with a uranium glow, and I think that this one might actually be for resale. Now, I am getting ready to check out, but I did spy one last thing on the way out. It is a Vaseline glass moon and stars picture. I love the moon and stars pattern and hardly ever see any out in Vaseline for sale. That piece was way out of my price range, but I just had to share it with my fellow glowworms. So, like I said, we are getting ready to check out and we are going home with the jadeite tray, the uranium glazed pig flower pot, and the blue acro agate flower pot. Is there anything that you would have bought from this trip? And am I stupid for leaving something behind? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thank you so much for watching and happy hunting!